As the Denobulan invasion force tightened its grip on Earth, Isaac Rice and his team worked tirelessly at the Ark to unravel the secrets of the alien enhancement technology. The facility buzzed with activity as scientists and trainers collaborated to harness the full potential of the enhanced pets, their best hope for turning the tide of the war. Max, Isaac's loyal golden retriever, emerged as a natural leader among the enhanced animals. His keen intelligence and uncanny ability to strategize set him apart, and he quickly became the focal point of the Resistance's efforts. Isaac watched with a mix of pride and amazement as Max communicated complex battle plans to the other pets, a language of barks, growls, and subtle gestures that only they could understand. The arrival of Marcus Reeves and his German shepherd, Axel, brought a new dynamic to the Ark. The grizzled former Special Forces operative was initially skeptical of the Resistance's reliance on enhanced pets, but Axel's unwavering loyalty and remarkable skills soon won him over. Together, they formed a formidable duo, undertaking covert missions to gather crucial intelligence on the Denobulan's operations. However, just as the Resistance began to gain ground, Murloc, the Denobulan commander, unleashed a terrifying new weapon. Genetically engineered pets, their minds warped and twisted to serve only the Denobulans, poured onto the battlefields. These creatures, imbued with even greater strength and savagery than the Resistance's enhanced animals, tore through Earth's defenses with frightening ease. Amidst the chaos, a glimmer of hope emerged in the form of Dr. Zara Krell, a rogue Denobulan scientist who had defected from her own kind. Her arrival at the Ark brought invaluable knowledge of the enemy's weaknesses and the true extent of their genetic manipulation. Isaac and his team listened in horrified fascination as Dr. Krell revealed the Denobulan monarch's grand plan to subjugate not only Earth but the entire galaxy, using the enhanced pets as the ultimate warbeasts. The weight of this revelation hung heavy in the air as Isaac contemplated their next move. The Ark had become more than just a refuge for enhanced pets. It was now the center of a galactic struggle for freedom. As he looked around at the determined faces of his team, both human and animal alike, Isaac knew that they had no choice but to take the fight to the Denobulans. In the days that followed, the Ark became a hive of activity as Isaac and his team prepared for their most ambitious mission yet. Engineers worked round the clock to retrofit spacecraft with specialized equipment designed to accommodate the enhanced pets, while trainers drilled their charges in zero-gravity combat tactics. Max and Axel, now battle-hardened veterans, led the charge, their unwavering courage inspiring the other animals to new heights of bravery. Yet even as the Resistance geared up for its boldest strike, tensions simmered beneath the surface. Some among the human fighters questioned the ethics of sending their beloved pets into the heart of the Denobulan Empire, knowing that many would not return. Others argued that they had no choice, that the fate of humanity and all alien species hung in the balance. As the debates raged on, Isaac could only hope that the bonds of loyalty and friendship between humans and their enhanced companions would prove strong enough to weather the trials ahead. The stage was set for a final high-stakes endeavor, a strike against the very heart of the Denobulan war machine. With Max and Axel leading the charge, the Resistance prepared to embark on a journey unlike any they had faced before, knowing that failure was not an option. The future of Earth and countless other worlds hung in the balance, and only the courage and sacrifice of these unlikely heroes could hope to turn the tide. As the Ark's hangar bay bustled with activity, Isaac surveyed the strike force assembled before him. Max and Axel stood at the forefront, their sleek exosuits gleaming under the harsh lights. Beside them, Natalia Sokolov adjusted her tactical gear, while her Siberian cat Sasha flexed her razor-sharp claws. The air crackled with anticipation as the team prepared to embark on their most daring mission yet. Dr. Zara Krell approached Isaac, her Denobulan features etched with tenacity. "I've uploaded the schematics of the research facility to your datapads," she said, handing him a slim device. "The genetic enhancement labs are located in the sublevels, heavily guarded by Murloc's finest." Isaac nodded grimly, his gaze settling on Max. The golden retriever met his eyes, a silent understanding passing between them. They both knew the stakes, the weight of the responsibility they carried. As the strike force boarded the sleek, modified spacecraft, Isaac took a moment to address his team. "We've all seen the horrors the Denobulans have inflicted upon the galaxy," he said, his voice steady. "But today, we have a chance to strike back, to sabotage their twisted experiments, and give hope to those they've oppressed." The spacecraft shuddered as it lifted off, the Ark's hangar bay receding beneath them. Isaac watched as Earth grew smaller, a fragile blue marble suspended in the vast expanse of space. He thought of the billions of lives down there, the families and friends he fought to protect. As they navigated the stars, Isaac pored over Dr. Krell's intelligence, familiarizing himself with the layout of the Denobulan facility. Max and Axel huddled nearby, analyzing holographic projections of the target, their enhanced minds processing complex strategies. Days turned into weeks as the strike force journeyed deeper into Denobulan space, taking circuitous routes to avoid detection. They made contact with pockets of resistance on subjugated worlds, forging tenuous alliances with the Lyrans and other oppressed species. In whispered conversations and secretive meetings, they laid the groundwork for a coordinated assault. When they finally reached Denobula Prime, the strike force split into smaller teams, each with a specific objective. Isaac, Max, and Dr. Krell would infiltrate the main research facility, while Marcus, Axel, and Natalia targeted the communications array to disrupt Denobulan coordination. As Isaac's team breached the facility's outer defenses, Max took point, his enhanced senses guiding them through the labyrinthine corridors. The Denobulan guards were no match for the strike force's skill and coordination, and they soon found themselves in the heart of the genetic enhancement labs. What they discovered there defied imagination. Row upon row of containment pods lined the walls, each housing a creature subjected to the Denobulan's cruel experiments. Isaac's stomach churned as he recognized species from across the galaxy, their forms twisted and warped beyond recognition. Max let out a low growl, his hackles raised as he sensed the suffering that permeated the room. Isaac placed a comforting hand on his companion's head, a silent promise that they would put an end to this madness. As they set to work sabotaging the equipment and gathering evidence, a sudden commotion drew their attention. Dr. Keon Zor, a Denobulan scientist, emerged from the shadows, his hands raised in surrender. "I mean you no harm," he said, his voice trembling. "I want to help." Isaac and Dr. Krell exchanged wary glances. But as Dr. Zor revealed his past and his desire to undo the damage his people had inflicted, they saw the sincerity in his eyes. The strike force soon found themselves in an uneasy alliance with the renegade scientists, their goals aligned in the face of a greater threat. But their mission was just the beginning. As they made their escape from the facility, alarms blared and Denobulan forces converged on their position. Max and Axel moved with fluid precision, their enhanced reflexes allowing them to dodge and weave through the hail of energy bolts. Natalia cried out as a stray shot found its mark, her body crumpling to the ground. Sasha was at her side in an instant, a soft golden glow emanating from the feline's paws as she tapped into previously unknown abilities. Slowly, miraculously, Natalia's wound began to close, her breathing stabilizing as Sasha poured her healing energy into her fallen companion. With Natalia stabilized and the enemy temporarily scattered, the strike force seized their chance and fled to the extraction point. As their spacecraft broke atmosphere, the weight of their success began to sink in. They had struck a blow against the Denobulan war machine, had forged new alliances, and uncovered valuable intel. But even as they celebrated their victory, Isaac knew that the true battle was only just beginning. The Denobulans would not take this defeat lightly, and the question of the enhanced pet's future loomed large in his mind. As he looked around at his team, both human and animal, he saw the commitment in their eyes, the unwavering commitment to the cause. Earth was still out there, waiting for their return, and with the help of their unlikely allies and the strength of their unbreakable bonds, Isaac knew that they would stop at nothing to save their home in the galaxy from the clutches of the Denobulan threat. The Ark's hangar bay erupted in cheers as Isaac's team disembarked from their spacecraft. Weeks of tension melted away as friends and colleagues rushed forward, embracing the returning heroes. Max and Axel trotted down the ramp, their tails held high, basking in the adulation of their fellow enhanced pets. But beneath the jubilant surface, Isaac sensed an undercurrent of unease. As he scanned the crowd, he noticed several faces conspicuously absent, key members of the resistance leadership who should have been there to greet them. Dr. Krell touched his arm, her voice low. "Something's not right. We need to speak with the council immediately." Before Isaac could respond, a commotion broke out near the hangar entrance. A group of armed soldiers pushed their way through the crowd, led by a stern-faced man with close-cropped gray hair. "General Vance," Marcus muttered, his hand instinctively moving to his sidearm. "What's he doing here?" The general strode forward, his gaze fixed on Isaac. "Mr. Rice, by order of the Emergency War Council, you and your team are to be debriefed immediately. The enhanced animals are to be taken into protective custody." Max growled, hackles rising. Around the hangar, other pets tensed, sensing the sudden shift in atmosphere. Isaac stepped forward, placing himself between Vance and Max. "With all due respect, General, these animals are sentient beings and valued members of our team. They go nowhere without our consent." Vance's eyes narrowed. "This isn't a request, Rice. The Council has determined that the enhanced pets are too valuable as assets to be left unsecured. They'll be transferred to a specialized facility for further training and deployment." "You mean experimentation?" Natalia spat, her arms wrapped protectively around Sasha. The general's hand moved to his holster. "Don't make this difficult. We have the authority to use force if necessary." In that moment, chaos erupted. Max barked sharply, a clear command to his fellow pets. As one, they surged forward, creating a barrier between Vance's men and their human companions. Axel bared his teeth, electricity crackling between his jaws. "Stand down!" Vance shouted, drawing his weapon. "Stop!" A voice rang out from the back of the hangar. Dr. Amelia Chen, head of the Orcs Research Division, pushed her way through the crowd. "General Vance, you have no authority here. The Ark is an independent entity, and these pets are under our protection." Vance hesitated, his finger hovering over the trigger. For a tense moment, the hangar bay teetered on the edge of violence. Then slowly the general lowered his weapon. "This isn't over, Rice," he growled. "The council will hear about this." With a curt gesture to his men, Vance retreated, leaving a wake of whispers and worried glances behind him. As the adrenaline faded, Isaac turned to Dr. Chen. "What happened while we were gone?" She sighed, the lines on her face deepening. "A lot has changed, Isaac. Come with me. There's someone you need to meet." Dr. Chen led them through the Ark's winding corridors to a secure conference room. Inside, a group of people waited, their expressions grim. Among them sat a familiar face, Dr. Kian Zor, the Denobulan scientist who had aided their escape. "Dr. Zor," Isaac exclaimed, "how did you—" "There's no time for explanations," Dr. Chen interrupted. "We have a crisis on our hands. While you were away, General Vance and his supporters have been pushing for more aggressive use of the enhanced pets in combat. They've set up a secret facility where they're experimenting on captured pets." Max whined softly, pressing against Isaac's leg. Axel's ears flattened against his skull. "We can't let this continue," Natalia said, her voice tight with anger. Dr. Zor leaned forward, his alien features creased with concern. "It's worse than that. My colleague and I have made a breakthrough in our research. We believe we've found a way to reverse the genetic enhancements." A hush fell over the room as the implications sank in. Isaac looked down at Max, seeing the intelligence and persistence in those familiar brown eyes. Could he really ask his friend to give up everything he had become? "We need to act fast," Dr. Chen said, breaking the silence. "Vance's facility needs to be shut down, and we need to establish clear guidelines for the treatment of enhanced pets. But first, we need to get the word out to all the pets about what's happening." Max barked softly, drawing everyone's attention. He padded over to a computer terminal, his paw hovering over the keyboard. With careful precision, he began to type. "We will fight for our freedom, for our friends. We are not weapons, we are alive." Isaac felt a lump form in his throat as he read the words. He placed his hand on Max's head, feeling the bond between them stronger than ever. "All right," he said, turning to face the room. "Let's make a plan. It's time to show Vance and the council what these animals are really capable of." As the group huddled around the conference table, The air hummed with tenacity. Outside the Ark, storm clouds gathered on the horizon, a fitting backdrop for the battle that lay ahead, not just against the Denobulans, but for the very soul of their resistance. The conference room erupted into a flurry of activity as Isaac and his team began formulating their plan. Suddenly, a harsh beeping cut through the noise. Dr. Chen's eyes widened as she rushed to the communications terminal. "It's a distress call," she announced, her fingers flying over the controls. "From Dr. Kian Zor." The room fell silent as Zor's holographic image flickered to life, his face etched with fear and exhaustion. "Isaac, Dr. Chen, we need help. Xandar's forces have found us on Altair. We're trapped, and they're closing in. We've made a breakthrough on the cure, but..." The transmission cut out abruptly, leaving only static. Isaac exchanged a look with Max, seeing his own willpower reflected in the golden retriever's eyes. "We have to go," Isaac said, turning to the others. "This might be our only chance to secure a cure and give the pets a choice." Within hours, a strike team assembled in the Ark's hangar. Isaac stood at the helm, flanked by Max, Marcus, Axel, Natalia, and Sasha. Joining them were several representatives from the recently liberated alien races, including a group of feline-like Lyrans, their sleek forms radiating almost unchecked energy. As their ship broke through Earth's atmosphere, Isaac briefed the team on their mission. "Our primary objective is to extract Dr. Zor and his team. Secondary objective, secure any research on the cure. We're likely to encounter heavy Denobulan resistance, so stay alert and..." A violent shudder rocked the ship, cutting Isaac off mid-sentence. Alarms blared as a massive Denobulan warship materialized before them, its weapons already charging. "Evasive maneuvers!" Marcus shouted, his hands dancing across the controls. The ship lurched to the side, narrowly avoiding a barrage of energy bolts. Through the view screen, Isaac caught a glimpse of a familiar figure on the Denobulan ship's bridge. Murloc, his eyes gleaming with malice. "Axel, can you establish a telepathic link with the Lyrans?" Isaac asked, an idea forming. The German shepherd barked in affirmation, his eyes glowing as he connected with the alien felines. In a breathtaking display of coordination, the Lyrans sprang into action. They phased through the ship's hull, reappearing on the exterior in perfect formation. As one, they unleashed a concentrated burst of energy, targeting the Denobulan warship's primary weapons array. The enemy vessel's shields flickered and died, leaving it vulnerable. Seizing the opportunity, Marcus unleashed a barrage of their own, disabling the Denobulan ship's engines. With the immediate threat neutralized, the team pressed on to Altair's surface. As they approached Zor's lab, Sasha's ears perked up. The Russian blue's enhanced senses led them to a hidden entrance, descending deep underground. They emerged into a sterile corridor lined with holding cells. In one, they found Zor and his team, haggard but alive. As Isaac worked to disable the lock, a Denobulan energy blast scorched the wall inches from his head. Max leapt into action, placing himself between Isaac and the oncoming Denobulan soldiers. The golden retriever fought with ferocious loyalty, but a lucky shot caught him in the flank. He yelped in pain, collapsing to the ground. "Max!" Isaac cried, rushing to his friend's side. Blood matted the dog's golden fur, but his eyes remained clear and determined. Max whined softly, nudging Isaac toward the scientist. The message was clear: complete the mission. With the scientists freed and Max supported between Isaac and Marcus, the team fought their way back to the surface. But as they emerged into Altair's harsh sunlight, they found their path blocked by a wall of Denobulan soldiers, led by a smirking Murloc. "Did you really think you could escape so easily?" Murloc sneered, raising his weapon. Dr. Zor stepped forward, his voice steady despite his fear. "We've perfected the cure, Murloc, but it requires a rare element found only on this planet to stabilize it. Without it, all our work is useless." Murloc's eyes narrowed, clearly weighing the truth of Zor's words. In that moment of hesitation, Isaac saw their chance. "Marcus, with me," he ordered. "We'll get the element. Axel, coordinate with the Lyrans for cover." As Axel's mental link flared to life, Isaac and Marcus sprinted toward the nearby cliffs, where Zor had indicated the element could be found. Behind them, the air crackled with energy as their companions engaged Murloc's forces. Scaling the cliff face, Isaac's muscles burned with exertion. He could hear Marcus's labored breathing beside him, feel the weight of their mission pressing down on them. But with every handhold, every inch gained, Isaac thought of Max, of all the enhanced pets who deserved the right to choose their own fate. They would not fail. The future of their world, of this strange new family they had forged, depended on it. Their success. As Isaac and Marcus reached the cliff's summit, a piercing alarm shattered the air. The ground beneath their feet trembled as massive ships descended from the sky, their hulls emblazoned with Xandar's insignia. "We're out of time," Marcus gasped, scanning the horizon. "The invasion's begun." Isaac's grip tightened on the canister containing the rare element. "Then we finish this now." They scrambled down the cliff face, rocks slicing their hands as they raced against time. Below, chaos reigned. Denobulan troops poured from the newly arrived ships, engaging the resistance forces in a desperate firefight. Axel's mental link flared to life, his voice cutting through the din in Isaac's mind. "Earth is under attack. Xandar's forces have launched an all-out assault." Isaac's heart clenched, but he forced himself to focus on the immediate threat. As they reached the base of the cliff, Max limped towards them, tenacity burning in his eyes despite his injury. "Status?" Isaac asked, kneeling beside his friend. Max barked twice, then typed rapidly on a small device strapped to his collar. "Earth defense initiated. Enhanced pets leading counterattack." A wave of pride washed over Isaac. Even wounded, Max was coordinating a planet-wide resistance. But there was no time to dwell on it. They had to act now. "Dr. Zor!" Isaac called out, tossing the canister to the Denobulan scientist. "Can you stabilize the cure?" Zor caught it deftly, his fingers already working to combine the element with the prototype cure. "Yes, but I need time and a secure location." "You'll have both," Natalia said, emerging from the fray with Sasha at her side. The Russian blue's fur was singed, but her eyes gleamed with fierce intelligence. "We've identified an abandoned research facility nearby. It's defensible." As they fought their way through the battlefield, Isaac's mind raced. Earth was under siege, but they couldn't abandon Altair, not when they were so close to a breakthrough that could change everything. They reached the facility, a squat building half buried in Altair's rocky soil. Inside, Dr. Zor immediately set to work, his movements a blur as he refined the cure. The rest of the team fortified their position, preparing for the inevitable assault. "Isaac," Marcus called out, his voice tight, "you need to see this." On a battered view screen, they watched in horror as Xandar's flagship unleashed a devastating energy beam on Earth's surface. The Resistance's command center erupted in flames. "No," Isaac breathed, his fists clenching. Max whined softly, pressing against Isaac's leg. His paw tapped out a message. "Must go to Earth. Stop Xandar." Isaac knelt, meeting Max's gaze. In those brown eyes, he saw not just loyalty and love, but a tactical brilliance that could turn the tide of this war. "You're right," Isaac said, his perseverance hardening. "But we can't abandon Altair either." He turned to the group, a plan forming. "We split up. Marcus, Natalia, you stay here with Dr. Zor. Finish the cure and distribute it to any enhanced pets who want it." "What about you?" Natalia asked, though her eyes said she already knew the answer. Isaac placed a hand on Max's head. "We're going to Denobia Prime. We'll take the fight directly to Xandar." The room erupted in argument, but Max's sharp bark silenced them all. The golden retriever limped to a computer terminal, his paws flying over the keys. Twofold strategy: Earth defense, plus Denobia strike. Axel coordinate aerial assault, Sasha lead infiltration. As the implications sank in, a hush fell over the room. It was audacious, perhaps even foolhardy, but it was their best chance. "I'm coming with you," Sasha meowed, her tail twitching with persistence. Within hours, a strike team assembled. Isaac, Max, and Sasha prepared to depart for Denobia Prime, while the others fortified their position on Altair. As they boarded their small stealth ship, Isaac caught a glimpse of the battle raging on Altair's surface. Denobulan forces clashed with resistance fighters, the sky ablaze with energy weapons, and the distinctive contrails of enhanced birds executing precision strikes. "Ready?" Isaac asked, looking at his companions. Max barked an affirmative, while Sasha's eyes narrowed in concentration. As their ship lifted off, cloaking systems engaged, Isaac allowed himself a moment of trepidation. They were about to infiltrate the heart of the Denobulan Empire, facing impossible odds. But as he looked at Max and Sasha, seeing the unwavering loyalty and tenacity in their eyes, Isaac knew that impossible was just another obstacle to overcome. Together they would end this war and forge a new future, for humans, pets, and alien races alike. The stars streaked by as their ship accelerated, carrying them towards Denobia Prime and the final confrontation with Xandar. Behind them, Altair and Earth burned. Ahead lay uncertainty, danger, and the faint glimmer of hope. For now, that would have to be enough. The stealth ship shuddered as it emerged from hyperspace, Denobia Prime looming before them. Isaac's grip tightened on the controls, his eyes scanning the chaotic battle unfolding around the planet. Denobulan warships clashed with resistance vessels, energy beams crisscrossing the void. "There!" Sasha mewed, her keen feline eyes spotting their target. Xandar's flagship. The massive vessel dwarfed all others, its hull gleaming with an eerie blue light. Isaac guided their ship through the debris field, relying on Max's enhanced senses to detect incoming threats. "Marcus, status on the cloaking device?" Isaac asked, his voice tense. "Holding steady," Marcus replied, fingers dancing across the control panel. "But we'll need to drop it to dock." As they approached the flagship's underbelly, Max's fur bristled. He barked sharply, paws tapping out a warning on his communication device. "Tractor beam activated." Before Isaac could react, their ship lurched violently. Alarms blared as they were pulled into a docking bay, the cloaking field flickering and dying. "Trap!" Sasha hissed, her tail lashing. The moment their ship touched down, Denobulan soldiers swarmed the bay. Isaac shared a determined look with his companions. "Plan B," he said grimly. They burst from the ship, Max and Sasha providing cover fire as Isaac and Marcus made a break for the nearest access hatch. Energy bolts sizzled past them, scorching the deck plating. "Go!" Max barked, his eyes meeting Isaac's for a heartbeat. "We'll hold them off." Isaac hesitated, torn between the mission and his loyalty to his friends. But Sasha's fierce yowl spurred him into action. He and Marcus slipped through the hatch, the sounds of battle fading behind them. They raced through the flagship's maze-like corridors, guided by the intel Dr. Zor had provided. Isaac's heart pounded, every shadow seeming to hide an enemy. But Marcus's steady presence at his side kept him focused. "There," Marcus whispered, pointing to a panel near a junction. "That should give us access to the security systems." As Marcus worked to disable the alarms, Isaac's thoughts strayed to Max and Sasha. He pushed aside the gnawing worry, forcing himself to concentrate on the task at hand. Suddenly, the ship's lighting shifted to an angry red. Klaxons wailed, echoing through the metal passageways. "What happened?" Isaac demanded. Marcus shook his head, bewildered. "It wasn't me. Something's triggered a ship-wide alert." A familiar bark echoed from a nearby corridor, followed by the distinct sound of feline yowls and energy weapon discharge. Isaac's heart leapt. Max and Sasha were alive, and they were fighting their way through the ship. "They're creating a diversion," Isaac realized. "Come on, we need to reach the bridge while Xandar's forces are distracted." They pressed on, disabling systems and creating chaos in their wake. Each step brought them closer to their goal, but also to a confrontation Isaac knew would define the fate of Earth and countless other worlds. As they neared the bridge, the resistance of Xandar's forces intensified. Isaac and Marcus found themselves pinned down behind a bulkhead, energy bolts sizzling past their heads. "We're not going to make it," Marcus growled, returning fire. Just then, a blur of golden fur streaked past them. Max, his coat singed but his eyes blazing with tenacity, launched himself at the Denobulan soldiers. Sasha materialized from the shadows, her claws a whirlwind of deadly precision. "Now," Max barked, creating an opening. Isaac and Marcus surged forward, fighting their way through the last line of defense. With a final, desperate push, they breached the bridge's massive doors. There, standing before the panoramic view screen overlooking the battle for Denobia Prime, stood Xandar. The Denobulan leader turned, his eyes cold and calculating. In his hands, he held a device that pulsed with an otherworldly energy. "So," Xandar's voice dripped with contempt, "the architect of this pitiful resistance finally shows his face." Isaac raised his weapon, but Xandar merely smirked. With a casual gesture, he activated the device. A wave of energy washed over the bridge, and Max collapsed with a pained yelp. Sasha stumbled, her movements suddenly clumsy and uncoordinated. "Behold," Xandar proclaimed, "the end of your enhanced abominations." As Isaac watched in horror, Max struggled to his feet, his eyes locked on Xandar. With a snarl of defiance, the golden retriever hurled himself at the Denobulan leader. "Isaac, the controls!" Marcus shouted, engaging Xandar's guards. Time seemed to slow as Isaac raced for the bridge's central console. His fingers flew over the alien controls, guided by countless hours of training and preparation. He could hear the sounds of struggle behind him. Max's growls, Sasha's yowls, the clash of Marcus's hand-to-hand combat. A proximity alert blared, and Isaac's blood ran cold as he saw the tactical display. On Earth, the resistance was crumbling. Denobulan forces were on the verge of total victory. With a silent prayer, Isaac seized control of the flagship's weapon systems. The massive ship shuddered as its cannons roared to life, not against the beleaguered defenders of Earth, but against its own fleet. Denobulan ships exploded in silent bursts of fire and debris. On the display, Isaac watched as the invasion force reeled, suddenly leaderless and under attack from their own flagship. A howl of rage tore through the bridge. Isaac turned to see Xandar, his face contorted with fury, looming over him. The Denobulan leader's hand closed around Isaac's throat, lifting him off his feet. "You've ruined everything," Xandar snarled. But as darkness began to creep into the edges of Isaac's vision, a golden blur slammed into Xandar. Max, his strength diminished but his spirit unbroken, had given Isaac the opening he needed. Isaac stumbled back to the console, gasping for air. Victory was within reach, Earth's defenders rallying as the Denobulan fleet fell into disarray. But then a new alert caught his attention. A launch of missiles from the planet's surface, their payloads registering as biological in nature. With dawning horror, Isaac realized the true nature of Xandar's plan. These weren't simple weapons. They were a last-ditch attempt to strip the enhanced pets of their abilities on a galactic scale. Isaac's hand hovered over the weapons controls. He could stop the missiles, but at what cost? The flagship's power core was already strained from the sudden assault on its own forces. Firing again could trigger a catastrophic overload. A gentle pressure on his leg made Isaac look down. Max stood there, his brown eyes filled with understanding and love. The golden retriever's paw tapped out a simple message on his communication device. "Do it." With a heavy heart, Isaac made his choice. The flagship's cannons fired one last time, streaking across space to intercept the mutagenic warheads. As the missiles detonated in a spectacular light show, alarms blared throughout the bridge. The ship's core was destabilizing, the entire vessel beginning to tear itself apart. "We need to go," Marcus shouted, supporting a limping Sasha. But as Isaac turned to flee, he saw Max standing firm, his eyes closed in concentration. All around them, enhanced pets, birds, cats, dogs of all breeds, were suddenly materializing on the bridge, teleported from their stations across the besieged planet. "Max, what are you doing?" Isaac cried, reaching for his friend. The golden retriever's eyes opened, filled with a mix of sadness and persistence. His paw tapped out a final message. "Saving you. All of you." Before Isaac could protest, he felt the disorienting sensation of teleportation. The last thing he saw was Max, standing tall amidst the chaos of the disintegrating bridge, his tail wagging one last time. Isaac materialized in the hold of a resistance ship, surrounded by the rescued humans and formerly enhanced pets. Through the view screen, he watched as Xandar's flagship erupted in a blinding explosion, taking with it the heart of the Denobulan war machine. As the battle for Denobia Prime reached its climax, Isaac felt a wave of conflicting emotions wash over him. They had achieved victory, but at a terrible cost. And as he looked at the now ordinary animals around him, he knew that their struggles were far from finished. The Galactic Council chamber buzzed with tension as Isaac Rice stood before the assembled representatives. His weathered face bore the marks of countless sleepless nights, the weight of responsibility etched into every line. "We've received a distress call from Dr. Zor's research outpost," Isaac announced, his voice grave. "The Virzun have struck." A collective gasp rippled through the chamber. Natalia Sokolov, her once fiery red hair now streaked with gray, leaned forward. "What do we know?" Isaac activated a holographic display, revealing a devastated research facility. The attack was swift and precise. Most of the staff, including Dr. Zor, have been taken captive. The Virzun's intentions are clear. They're after the genetic material of our enhanced pets. Marcus Reeves, sitting beside Natalia, clenched his fist. "We can't let them succeed. If they combine that DNA with their hybrid monstrosities—" "Exactly," Isaac nodded, "which is why I'm assembling a retrieval team. Marcus, Natalia, I need you both." As the council erupted into debate, Isaac's gaze fell on the two animals seated at the foot of the chamber's stairs. Axel, the German shepherd, and Sasha, the sleek Siamese cat, looked up at him with unwavering loyalty. Though they had long since lost their enhancements, their eyes still held the spark of intelligence that had made them formidable warriors. Hours later, aboard the stealth ship Starfire, Isaac briefed his team. The vessel hummed with nervous energy as they prepared to jump to their first destination, a trading outpost on the fringes of known space. "Our primary objective is to track the Virzun's movements and locate their main research facility," Isaac explained. "We'll start by following the trail of destruction they've left in their wake." As the Starfire emerged from hyperspace, the team was confronted by a harrowing sight. The once bustling outpost was now a graveyard of shattered ships and floating debris. Natalia maneuvered the ship through the wreckage, her expert piloting skills guiding them to a still-intact docking bay. "Axel, Sasha, scout ahead," Marcus commanded as they disembarked. Despite their ordinary abilities, the pets moved with practiced efficiency, years of combat experience evident in their every movement. The outpost corridors were eerily silent, save for the occasional spark of damaged circuitry. As they approached the central hub, a faint sound caught Sasha's attention. Her ears twitched, and she let out a low meow. "Wait," Natalia whispered, holding up a hand. "I hear it too." From the shadows emerged a figure, tall, willowy, with iridescent skin that seemed to shift colors. The alien's eyes darted nervously between the team members. "You're not Virzun," the alien said, her voice barely above a whisper. "I am Kylara. Once I was one of them. Now, I seek to stop the atrocities my people commit." Isaac studied her warily. "Why should we trust you?" Kylara's form shimmered, revealing a network of scars beneath her skin. "Because I've seen the horrors they've created, the abominations they plan to unleash upon the galaxy, and I know where they've taken your Dr. Zor." As the team exchanged glances, weighing the risk of trusting this defector, alarms suddenly blared throughout the outpost. Axel's bark cut through the cacophony, alerting them to approaching danger. "Virzun patrol ships," Marcus reported, checking a nearby console. "They're scanning for survivors." Isaac made a split-second decision. "Kylara, if you're genuine in your desire to help, now's the time to prove it. Can you get us out of here undetected?" The former Virzun nodded, her fingers dancing across the console. "I can mask our energy signatures, but we must move quickly. Their genetic scanners will detect your unique DNA soon enough." As they raced back to the Starfire, Isaac's mind whirled with the implications of Kylara's presence and the knowledge she possessed. The mission had suddenly become far more complex and far more dangerous than they had anticipated. With Virzun ships closing in, the Starfire slipped away from the outpost, cloaked by Kylara's expertise. As they plotted a course deeper into uncharted space, Isaac knew they were embarking on a journey that would test not only their skills, but their very humanity. The stars streaked by outside the view screen, each one potentially hiding the next clue to Dr. Zor's whereabouts, or the next Virzun ambush. In the ship's hold, Axel and Sasha huddled together, their animal instincts sensing the gravity of the mission ahead. Isaac watched them, a plan already forming in his mind. If they were to have any hope of stopping the Virzun and their hybrid monstrosities, they would need every advantage they could get, and that meant revisiting a decision he had hoped never to make again. As the starfire hurtled through the void, Isaac steeled himself for the battles to come, both against the Virzun and within the hearts and minds of his own people. The fate of humanity and all alien species hung in the balance, and the line between savior and monster had never been so thin. Years passed, and the galaxy changed. In a fortified training facility on Earth's moon, a new generation of enhanced pets stood at attention. Their eyes gleamed with intelligence and purpose, a testament to the Galactic Council's successful restoration of their genetic enhancements. Among them, a golden retriever named Nova held her head high. She was the spitting image of her father, Max, save for the streak of white fur on her chest. Beside her, a German shepherd named Ranger carried himself with the same quiet confidence that had defined his father, Axel. Marcus Reeves, his hair now more salt than pepper, paced before the assembled animals. "You've trained hard for this moment," he said, his voice echoing in the cavernous room, "but nothing can truly prepare you for what's out there." A proximity alert blared, cutting through the tense atmosphere. Natalia Sokolov's voice crackled over the intercom. "Virzun attack on Outpost Zeta 9. This is not a drill. All strike teams, report to your assigned shuttles immediately." The facility erupted into controlled chaos. Nova and Ranger exchanged a glance before racing to their positions. As they boarded their shuttle, Nova caught sight of her human partner, Lily Chen, strapping herself into the pilot's seat. "Ready for this?" Lily asked, her fingers dancing over the controls. Nova barked once, the sound translated by her neural interface. "Born ready." The shuttle screamed through the void, joining a fleet of allied ships converging on the beleaguered outpost. As they broke through the planet's atmosphere, the scope of the Virzun assault became clear. Monstrous hybrid creatures swarmed over the colony's defenses, their twisted forms a horrific blend of various species. "Strike Team Alpha, you're clear to engage," Marcus's voice crackled through their comms. "Remember your training and watch each other's backs." Nova leapt from the shuttle before it touched down, her enhanced muscles propelling her into the fray. She dodged a swipe from a creature with too many limbs, her jaws clamping down on its throat with crushing force. Nearby, Ranger moved with fluid grace, his teeth and claws finding weak points in the hybrid's armor. For a moment it seemed the tide was turning. Then a piercing shriek cut through the battlefield. Nova turned to see one of the fallen hybrids convulsing, its form rippling and expanding. In seconds it had transformed into a nightmarish entity that towered over the battlefield, tentacles lashing out to ensnare both pets and humans alike. "Fall back!" Lily shouted, unleashing a barrage of plasma fire that seemed to have little effect on the monstrosity. Nova watched in horror as the creature seized a fellow enhanced cat in its grasp. Without hesitation, she charged forward, her enhanced speed carrying her up the creature's writhing form. Her teeth sank into what passed for its flesh, tearing and rending as she climbed higher. From below, Ranger coordinated the efforts of the other pets, directing their attacks with a series of short barks. The creature's attention divided. It failed to notice Marcus Reeves approaching with a heavy energy weapon. "Nova, clear out!" Marcus bellowed. She leapt clear just as Marcus fired. The blast tore through the entity, reducing it to smoldering chunks. As the dust settled, Nova surveyed the battlefield. They had won, but the cost had been high. Hours later, aboard the command ship, Isaac Rice addressed the gathered strike teams. His face was grim as he relayed the intelligence provided by Kailara, the Virzun defector. "We've located their primary research facility," he announced. "This is our chance to end this threat once and for all." Nova felt a mix of anticipation and dread as Isaac outlined the planned assault. As she looked around at her fellow enhanced pets, she saw the same tenacity reflected in their eyes. Whatever horrors awaited them, they would face them together. The command ship's engines hummed to life, setting a course for the heart of Virzun territory. Nova settled into her bunk, her mind racing with the possibilities of what lay ahead. She knew that the true test of their abilities, and their humanity, was yet to come. The Virzun research facility loomed before them, a twisted spire of alien architecture that seemed to defy the laws of physics. Nova's enhanced senses picked up the acrid smell of ozone and the low hum of energy fields as their ship approached. "This is it," Isaac said, his voice tight with tension. "Everything we've fought for comes down to this moment." As they disembarked, the scale of the Virzun's defenses became apparent. Swarms of hybrid monstrosities patrolled the perimeter, their misshapen forms a grotesque mockery of nature's design. Marcus Reeves addressed the assembled strike teams, his weathered face set with stubborn persistence. "Remember your training, work together, watch each other's backs," and an ear-splitting shriek cut through the air as the first wave of Virzun super soldiers launched their attack. Nova barely had time to register the blur of motion before she was locked in combat with a creature that moved with impossible speed and strength. The battlefield erupted into chaos. Enhanced pets and their human partners fought side by side against the relentless onslaught. Nova's jaws clamped down on the arm of a Virzun soldier, her enhanced muscles straining as she held on with all her might. Nearby, Ranger coordinated a group of feline operatives, their synchronized attacks bringing down a towering hybrid. Through the din of battle, Nova heard Lily's voice in her neural interface. "Nova, fall back! We need to regroup!" Reluctantly, Nova disengaged from her opponent, sprinting back to where Marcus and Isaac were assembling the remaining forces. The toll of the initial clash was evident in the battered and bloodied warriors gathered around them. "They're stronger than we anticipated," Marcus said, his breathing labored. "But we've got no choice. We have to press on." Isaac nodded, activating a holographic display of the facility's interior. "The diversionary force has done its job. We have a narrow window to infiltrate the central command complex." As Isaac outlined the plan, Nova's attention was drawn to a familiar scent. She turned to see Sasha's offspring, a sleek Siamese named Luna, limping towards them. The cat's fur was matted with blood, but her eyes burned with fierce commitment. The strike team moved out, fighting their way through the facility's twisting corridors. Nova's enhanced senses were on high alert, picking up the slightest sounds and movements in the shadows around them. They encountered pockets of resistance, each confrontation more brutal than the last. As they neared the heart of the complex, a chilling silence fell. The team entered a vast chamber dominated by a pulsing orb of energy, the Virzun's central processing core. A figure materialized before them, its form shifting and warping like a mirage. The Virzun's supreme leader regarded them with cold alien eyes. "You have come far, humans," it said, its voice a discordant symphony of tones. "But your efforts are futile. We stand on the precipice of true perfection." Isaac stepped forward, a data crystal clutched in his hand. "We're here to end this madness." The leader's form rippled with what might have been amusement. "You cannot stop what has already begun." With those words, the chamber erupted into pandemonium. The Virzun leader's attacks were unlike anything they had faced before, its mastery over matter and energy defying comprehension. Nova and her fellow enhanced pets fought with every ounce of their strength, providing cover as Isaac and his team attempted to upload the countermeasure. Minutes stretched into what felt like hours as they battled against the relentless assault. Just as victory seemed within reach, alarms blared throughout the facility. A cold, mechanical voice announced the activation of the Virzun's final contingency. Mutagenic virus deployment initialized. Galactic purge commencing in T-10 minutes. The color drained from Isaac's face as he realized the true stakes of their mission. "We need to get to the quantum core," he shouted over the din of battle. "It's the only way to stop this." As they fought their way towards the facility's deepest level, Nova felt a presence brush against her mind. She turned to see Max's offspring, a golden retriever named Orion, his eyes glowing with an otherworldly light. "I can guide them," Orion's voice resonated in Nova's thoughts. "But the price, it must be paid." Nova whined, understanding the weight of Orion's decision. As they reached the quantum core, a shimmering vortex of impossible geometries, Orion stepped forward. "I'll show you the way," he said, his voice echoing both aloud and in their minds. "But you must act quickly." Isaac nodded, tears in his eyes as he realized what Orion's sacrifice would mean. The enhanced retriever closed his eyes, his consciousness reaching out to interface with the alien technology. As Isaac and his team plunged into the quantum nexus, guided by Orion's telepathic beacon, Nova and the other enhanced pets formed a protective circle around them. The Virzun's forces pressed in from all sides, desperate to stop what was happening. Luna, already wounded, threw herself at a Virzun assassin that had slipped past their defenses. Her claws raked across its face, buying precious seconds for Isaac's team to complete their task. The facility began to shake, reality itself seeming to warp and twist around them. Nova's enhanced senses were overwhelmed by the cascading energies emanating from the quantum core. As the world erupted into blinding light, Nova's last conscious thought was of Orion, and the unbreakable bond that had led them all to this moment.
You have reached the end of the story. If you enjoyed this story and want to support us, please leave a like and subscribe to our channel, and for every comment that says 88, I will heart every single one of them. Thank you for your time.